Has this ever happened to you?
Man, if Coach would have just put me in, we would have won state.
Yeah, and then all the girls would want to kiss you eternally because they're an act football state champions. Am I right?
Sure, of course you're right. You see, this happened to Uncle Rico. But fear not, it doesn't have to happen to you. Because after several negative attempts at time travel, Uncle Rico perfected the art, whereas other imitators fell short.
Are you telling me that I can relive my glory days?
Oh, yeah, he is.
Why, what do the logistics of this look like?
Oh, just listen. Our proprietary timeshare technology, patent pending, couldn't be simpler to use. You simply pay all year round for access to the device. One short to moderately short part of the year.
Now that's convenient.
Yes, it is convenient, and it's safe because time travel's just like a car. You only put it in reverse once per day.
Vroom, vroom.
I mean, I guess that could make sense, possibly.
Do you mean to tell me that I could go back in time and win state?
It's state, and yes, possibly, but probably not.
I'm gonna go back in time to watch the Ninja Turtles on television, and this time, I'm gonna be the one to point and say I'm the red one.
Wait, no, you can't. I'm the red one.
Did I tell you while I was on that television show, I was gonna play spaghetti and I did the turkey roll?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go back to that time that girl talked to me.
What? No way, man. That is me.
The process is simple. Insert the time crystals at the top. Soak yourself in electrolytic fluid. Place the safety bars in between your thigh area and prepare for the ride of your life. But don't take our word for it. Just listen to our reviews.
This machine sent a shock straight through my groin into my chest. I feel like Bruce Lee kicked me in the next Wednesday.
Because who doesn't need a good kick in the groin? Or the chest? And I love Wednesdays.
Okay, here's another one.
Yeah, the crystals exploded and I breathed them in. And now I have an unknown lung disease. It truly was the time of my life.
Really? That's the review we're going with?
Of course, it's a true testimony. It really happened to that guy.
Come on. It truly was the time of my life.
What, did Kmart not spell it right or something? Why do I even bother adding words to these reviews if my crew can't spell it right?
Okay, whatever. And now it's time to demonstrate.
Okay, you go first.
No, that's okay. You go.
No, I certainly don't want to be inconsiderate.
Well, if I do it, then how will you do it?
Well, you go back to the time to before when we did this, and you tell me to do it, and then I'll know to do it.
Okay, that sounds fair.
First, place the crystals in the tray.
This is some weird-looking crystal. What are these things?
It's bread. It's the best toaster. A best toaster. Something like that.
Wait a minute. Asbestos? Oh, no.
What?
Never mind. Cover yourself in electrolyte fluid.
This stuff tastes like salt water.
And butter.
What?
Now plug it in!
Time travel complete. Uncle Rico hopes you enjoyed the ride of your life.
Did it work? I don't remember going back in time.
You did. Uncle Rico assures you.
This is Uncle Rico's patent-pending assurance policy, in case you forget that you time travel.
What color is the sky?
I don't know. Blue?
Yes, it is. It used to be red before you changed it with our patent-pending butterfly effect.
And as if that wasn't enough, Uncle Rico also offers term life assurance policies.
Did you die? If so, Uncle Rico assures you that you did not.
Rest assured that even if you doubt it, you will be told about your time travel adventures.
Oh, why is there a hole burnt in my stomach?
Did you win the state?
More like made a steak out of himself. Seriously, whose idea was this?
Yeah, that is because placebo time travel /grill/cowbrander. Giddy up. Also comes with an entree. Look at that sear.
Maybe we should take him to a hospital or something.
Unfortunately, there are no hospitals on the highway of town. But act now and you can get any one of our Spice King steak spices with a purchase.
Oh, please, do tell more.
No, please, get him some medical attention.
You had spices and you didn't tell me?
We were saving them for when I made the trip.
Nobody wants to issue you meatball quack. This is a vegan-friendly product.
Flavors include dill hole dillweed,
These don't taste like pickles.
human for humans,
Smell the feet, boy.
and Agent Orange turmeric.
Because why not?
Placebo top steak thingy. Why do I still do these commercials?
Hang on, wait. Rewind the tape. We gotta go back. Tom Steak. That's just too good of a name. We gotta change the name now.
And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the show that gives you nothing that you want and everything that you don't need. At least some of the things you don't need. I'm your host, that guy with the name that's really hard to say and nobody cares, and that's okay. Let's get on with the show. We're about to have a regular time. So the episode that we're here to talk about today is entitled The Night Owl. And just looking at the title, I didn't know what it was about, but then when I looked at the wiki, the synopsis and all that good stuff, this is a very good episode. I remember a lot about this episode, and it's really got some awesome moments in it. But I would have never thought it was called The Night Owl. I know why it is now, but when I first saw it, I thought it's the one where Mordecai and Rigby get their sleep schedule messed up, but then I remembered that comes way later in the series, and yeah, this is a completely different episode. So, I should state that looking at the Cartoon Network, May 30th, 2011, that's the air date for this episode. Adventure Time still had not had a season 3 come out yet. That doesn't come out till June. So, I tried to see what episode they put out that day on Cartoon Network, and it says 206B. And I looked at season 1 and 2, and there's no episodes titled 206B. I've done some digging. I can't figure out what it is, so can't really do a side-by-side comparison this week. Really, all I'm going to be able to do is to review The Night Owl. I can state that there was some good King of the Hill episodes that came on that day. There were some good ones on Adult Swim, but maybe the best one, there's two of them, actually. There was, the Adult Swim was some of the older ones, or maybe like the middle of the road, as far middle era, I guess. The Good Buck, which was one, I think, where Buck Strickland wants to give up his old habits because Luann is running a Bible study in her pool. I think that's what that one is. It may be a different one. I'm not sure. Any episode with Buck Strickland, though, at the forefront is usually a pretty good one. And then I Never Promised You an Organic Rose Garden. That's the one, obviously, where the kids at school have like a garden club, and Peggy cheats and uses non-organic pesticide and Miracle Grow and all that jazz. Then the episodes of King of the Hill that come on after a regular show, we've got Hank's Bully, that's an episode that I just never, it's got some funny parts in it, but that kid in it just drives me nuts, man. I can't stand Dusty old bones, something. And then the color green, and Hank's like, what's that even mean? And nobody can really answer him, but it just gets on everybody's, just gets on my nerves listening to that kid. And then Edumacating Lucky, that's the one where Lucky has to get his GED to where he can marry Luann because it's his code of honor. And Peggy teaches him wrong because she doesn't want Lucky to marry Luann. That's a good episode. But, let me look through here and see if there was anything else memorable that came on that day. They're doing this with some of the other ones too. The Amazing World of Gumball, it's saying 103B and 103A. Don't know what those are. I thought maybe they're production codes. Nope. There's Tom and Jerry Meet Sherlock Holmes. Maybe that was a good one. I don't know. You got your basic Bakugans and all that jazz, and there's Squidbillies double trucking the Tricky 2. Aqua Unit Patrol Squad 1.
at 2:45 a.m. That one is the second episode of that season, I believe, and it's the one where Shake wakes up from hypersleep. Wait, no, maybe. Wait, there's Alan Part 1, Alan Part 2. I didn't know. Maybe that's the first episode of Aqua Unit Patrol Squad 1. And that one's kind of funny up until they get to the end, and then it gets a little bit disgusting, just like the half of the episode of Alan Part 2. I don't know. Kind of pushed it a little bit much there for me, but whatever. Here's something awesome. Scooby-Doo Camp Scare, 2010 movie. Don't know if the movie's any good. I've probably seen it because I had the Boomerang app and I watched like every Scooby-Doo movie. I can't remember it though. Inspector Gadget, 1999. That's probably the live-action movie, if I had to guess. Come on. So yeah, those are kind of the highlights. And then we had The Night Owl, which is a good episode. No classic Aqua Teen. That's kind of, I don't know. I just didn't care for those 2 episodes that come on. Oh well, no use fretting about it. There's a lot of other good episodes in that series. Don't see any Venture Brothers, and I'm guessing Harvey Birdman was long gone. No Space Ghost. Whatever. But we're not here to talk about Adult Swim programming. We're here to talk about the regular show, because this is just a regular show about the regular show. We're going to have a regular time. But all these people just keep getting me off topic. Anyway. I haven't been up to much. I'm going to leave that in there. I haven't been up to much. No, I haven't been watching the Muppets. I have not been up to much, except for, well, I've actually been up to a lot. Just nothing really all that much worth sharing. Just doing a lot of the weight room thing for the middle school and pretty much babysitting, it seems like. That's kind of like what it feels like this time of year. Don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I worked the school dance a couple nights ago. It's May 5th, by the way. It's Cinco de Mayo today. May the 5th be with you, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, so this is not too far off from the air date of The Night Owl. But anyway, yeah, I worked the school dance Friday. It was kind of fun, except it rained like crazy. But I learned some really cool interpretive umbrella dancing techniques, like the Charlie Chaplin. You open it up and you go flying away. Yeah. And then I got to run around in the rain and, yeah, load up audio equipment, stay late. Oh, boy. 'Cause that's what you do when you work at a school, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I guess the one thing that I have shortly after I recorded last time, I was telling you about the first couple episodes of the Fallout series. I finished that. And I got to say, initially, I probably said it didn't really feel like Fallout, but it was still worth watching, I guess. And I guess even going through it still doesn't 100% feel like the Fallout I'm used to. It does kind of feel like the Bethesda Fallout, I got to say. Doesn't really feel like Interplay Fallout, which makes sense because, Interplay's not involved. There are some things in there, though, some homages to the Interplay and Black Isle. Nothing I saw from Tactics that I can think of, but Fallout 1 and 2 definitely, the thing with the water chip and all that. But I got to say, after finishing it, it's one of the best video game adaptations that I've ever seen. I mean, it's fantastic. The casting is phenomenal. Walton Goggins as the ghoul, or Harry Cooper, or whatever his name is. Fantastic. Fantastic casting. What's her name? Ella Purnell, the main character. Lucy, fantastic. And the side characters, they're pretty doggone good too. There's always going to be things in series that you don't care for. That's okay. I'm willing to look over those. The humor in this, for the most part, hit. There were some lines in there that, especially towards the end, I thought, I don't know. I don't know. But I got to say, it's really good, though. The way the story, it leaves a lot of things open for season 2, which I'm sure is coming. I mean, this was a really good show. And it's just cool how the characters, how they intertwine. And the cool thing is it's Fallout, so they didn't really follow the story of any of the games per se. I mean, it's set, several years after the last Fallout game, whatever that is, 76 or 4 or whatever. There's several years in the future, so it's pretty cool. I don't want to give anything away, but it's just neat how it's looking back at how the war began, and then it's also bringing up new things, and they haven't introduced anything like super mutants yet. I don't know if they'll introduce synths. Part of me hopes that they don't, but then it would be kind of fun to see how that goes in this type of setting. Really, I don't know. I'm just going to enjoy watching it whenever it comes out. I'll renew the Prime membership or whatever then. Finished Invincible Season 2, whatever. Those are the only two things I have Prime for. Anyway, I looked back and for whatever reason, I guess I looked at one Fallout video on YouTube, and now they just keep popping up on autoplay on my YouTube in the background. So, I really got to looking into the Fallout 1 and 2 because those games I played like crazy when I was, growing up. 1 and 2, those, obviously 2 probably has the better gameplay, but 1, there was always something about it that just, there was that element of mystery and the unknown, and you didn't know what really was going on, and all the hubbub around Necropolis, and you didn't know what super mutants were. And then the main villain has, like, if you look into it, the way that I think his name's like Dr. Gray, Derek Gray, or Richard Gray, or one of those. And the way that his backstory ends up, or it's not really an origin story, I guess, but the way he becomes the main villain, the Master, man alive, it's just so, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's great. And then you get to him and the dialogue, it's got like 4 or 5 people voicing him, and it's just fantastic. And I'm sure that they took a lot of, at least inspiration from Wasteland. I believe that the main villain of that game is similar to the Master. I'm not sure though, but there's an order that's very similar to the Brotherhood of Steel. You've got creatures that they don't exactly look like Deathclaws, but they kind of, I think they're quadrupedal, whereas the Deathclaws are bipedal. But I'm sure there's a lot more similarities between those two games. But Fallout 1, man, it was probably the first time I played a game that was like top down, and you had AP points or action points, whatever. And it was like I'd played turn-based games like Final Fantasy VII, but I had never played one where like, it was like you got to use action points to move around the map, and everything you do requires action points. And a game that had so much, it was so serious and bleak, but at the same time, there was just all this humor wrapped up in it, and it didn't make a big deal about it. Like if you, like it would like make a joke, and it wouldn't be like, okay, laugh now or whatever. Like you could have just went completely over your head. But there's so many things about these games, like the character of Harold, how he just keeps popping up all over the place, and it doesn't make a big deal about it. He just keeps popping up in 1 and 2, and then in 3, and just his story, like all the crap that happens, it's like, that wacky old Harold, there he is, But a lot of different things like that, and some of the stories they make up about the different creatures and whatnot. And remember in 2, blowing up the outhouse with the dynamite, just different junk like that. Great games, great games. Awesome ideas for the time. I mean, those games were so far ahead of their times, in my opinion. I mean, you had other games like, I guess on PC you had Diablo. Probably would have came a little bit before Fallout. What was that one from the makers of Baldur's Gate? It was the Nightscape Torment or something like that. That one I'd never played, but apparently it was a really good game. The name is, I'm blanking on the name, but I'm thinking it's got something to do with like the the mind or the psyche of characters, and I think it's called Nightscape Torment. I'm not sure. Let me look at that. Okay, I gotta correct myself because I'm a dum-dum. It's Planetscape Torment. That's the one. Apparently, it's a very good one. It came out from Black Isle, so they're the same people that made Fallout 2, so I'm willing to bet it's a really good one. Fallout 2's main quest is it's like 9 out of 10 territory. 9.5 out of 10. I mean, it's pretty doggone good. Even, and that's the cool thing. Last thing about the humor in this game, it's just kind of funny because the first game, the main character from the first game sets up the village that the main character from the second game is born in. And he's just a regular vault dweller, and he gets kicked out, got to go find the water chip, and other things happen. And he sets up the village, and they create a temple around his vault dweller outfit, like his little shirt that's got the 13 on it. And they refer to the vault as the Holy 13. Like, I'm just thinking, they're making such a big hubbub about this, and the guy's just a regular guy, wandering around the desert. And it's just funny. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, he did go on some legendary quests. So, I don't know. I love those games. I would honestly put those games probably in my top 10, both of them. So, yeah. Love the early Fallout games. But, the series definitely worth watching. I'm excited to see where they go with it next. That's about all I got. I don't feel like looking at the movies today because I'm having a feeling there wasn't much that I would have enjoyed coming out at this time. The music, I think Bruno Mars is I think Grenade is not number 1 by now. I don't know. Anyway, I'll check that next week maybe. Let's get to the Night Owl. So, the Night Owl, I believe, is Season 2, Episode 22. Its production code is 222. Make-A-Wish. Premiere date, May 30th, 2011 in the USA, October 19th, 2011 in the UK. Directed by Mike Roth. Written, storyboarded by Kat Morris and Minty Lewis. Once again, Minty Lewis is the voice of Eileen. The synopsis of the episode. Mordecai, Rigby, Muscleman, and High Five Ghost are frozen in time for thousands of years while in a competition for a Dodge Challenger. A radio station host known as the Night Owl fools them into competing against each other for the car when he realizes they were going to share it. So, first thing, I don't know if they say it's a Dodge Challenger in the episode because I haven't watched it ahead of time. But that's kind of, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they got like the licensing right to put a Dodge Challenger in their show because they get all these licensings, the licenses to use, music. So, I don't know. It's the regular show. Maybe Muscle Man knew a guy. So, voices for this episode. Mordecai, High Five Ghost, and Security Guard. We're playing Half-Life today. Security Guard, J.G. Quintel. Rigby, the character of Guy. Guard, Benson, Muscle Man. Oh, wait, okay, time out, sorry. Rigby, Guy, and Guard. Yeah, I knew there was when I'm seeing 6 voices for one person. No, it's 3 per people. So that's how voice acting works. You get 3 roles. They pay you like that little bit extra if you get the 3rd, I believe. Anyway, Rigby, Guy, and Guard, William Salyers. Benson, Muscle Man, and intern, Sam Marin. Night Owl, Nick, and museum voice is Roger Craig Smith. The old standby. I mean that in a good way. Because, he's usually on a lot of these episodes. So he pulls his weight very well. So, I'm going to look and see. Let's be on the lookout for some of these things, some of the trivia here. Muscle Man quotes, "Frickin' sweet, let's do this, babies," and working together, baby, were reused in Ride 'em Rigby. Okay. When the gang drives past you know what? Let's just see if we catch these on the first time around. There's a bunch of goofs. I'm not going through them. We'll look at them at the end. I want to just get into this episode, so let's get to it. So the episode starts out with your normal, all that, and then the birds tweeting. And they are outside in the park. They're at the snack bar. It's Mordecai, Rigby, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost. And they're all drinking sodas and blue cans. You know what that means. They're getting a buzz on. There's this music playing. It's like this very stock rock music. And Mordecai is like going, joo, 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 and it's like not matching with the music at all, which is kind of great. And the look on his face, it kind of looks like his beak kind of looks like the front of it looks like the grill of a car, kind of the way that he's gritting his teeth. I'm not sure which show I'm thinking of, but maybe like a car, like off of a 90s cartoon, like, I don't know, Doug or something. I don't know. Muscle Man is going, yeah, drum solo. And like his drum solo that he does is actually, or his air drum solo, whatever. It's pretty amusing. They definitely make use of Muscle Man's physical features, as well as some like awkward soda mechanics. Like when he's slinging it, the soda's coming out of it, and he'll hit the table, and a little bit will come out, and they kind of recycle the motions, I think. But he starts spinning the soda cans, and nothing gets slung out of them. So maybe they were all out by maybe they were empty by the time he slings those cans down. But he's like, yeah, thanks for sharing the sodas with me. And they're like, thanks for sharing the tunes with us. And then we hear a voice on the radio. It's an advertisement. Now, what follows is pretty entertaining because we find out it's the Night Owl, because he says, this is the Night Owl, and he's giving the advertisement for WHOZ, Who's Who, the radio station Who's Who. Oh, because it's an owl, and it says who. I didn't even get that, but that's great. That's like a triple entendre. That's fantastic. Who's Who, WHOZ, Who's Who among radio stations, and it's saying who because it's an owl. Whatever. Anyway, it says this is the Night Owl, and nobody is saying anything at all, but Muscle Man feels the need to put his hand up to his mouth, and he's like, shut your faces, it's the Night Owl. And nobody was saying anything, so obviously, they stayed shut up, I guess, but they're listening. He's like, listen, it's a great advertisement. I don't remember everything about it, but he's like, do you love muscle cars? Do you want a muscle car? If a muscle car was a girl, would you take it on a date and try to get to second base with it? And all this other jazz. And I'm just thinking, what the crap? They breeze all this stuff by you so fast that you can hardly catch it, but it's great. So they decide that, the contest is they're going to have to stand up on a billboard. The last one there wins the car. That's what he describes in the advertisement, or the contest advertisement. And Mordecai's like, okay, we got to go and win this. And Muscle Man's like, I don't know. We've never worked together before. Mordecai says, well, we got to start working together for the car. So, some junk like that. And they all, I guess they kind of make this little plan, this pact. And Muscle Man ends it with, let's ride, babies, and they all high five. Not the ghost, but he's included too. But they'll high five in the middle of the table to signify they're going to work together. Scene cuts, and we see the billboard, and then we see the Night Owl, and he kind of looks like a college radio DJ, or VJ, whatever. He has blue sunglasses on. Got a head full of brown hair, and he's got it combed where it like has a little. It's very like 2010s, really more like mid 2010s, but whatever. Top haircut. White shirt. It's got an owl on it that has the same blue sunglasses, and there's lightning bolts coming down around the head of it, and it's a pretty cool shirt. But let's see what he has to say here. So basically, we learned that the contest is called Standoff for the Steal. They all got to stand on the billboard, and whoever comes off last wins. And he says, we all have some very stiff competition here, something like that. And we see a bunch of let's see, there's an old lady with a pink dress on. She's got like a garden hat on. A short guy with a green tank top. A tall hippie looking guy with a white headband. A guy with one of the prototype excellent caps with nothing written on it, but it's red. See, a character model I've never seen before is this, kind of looks like a housewife from the I wouldn't say 50s, probably more like maybe like the 80s. She's got like a denim skirt on with the pockets on the front. Got red hair. She kind of looks like Miss Frizzle. Some big guy with his arms look weird as crap. He's got his biceps look to be where his elbow's at. And then he's got humongous Popeye forearms and a black pompadour. He's got a cut off flannel and really small legs. And then another hippie dude. Anyway, Mordecai, Rigby, Mordecai and gang, they all have a tent that I guess they're going to camp out up there. And they're looking down at the steel, which is the car, and it's a black muscle car. And Muscle Man's like, "Oh man, I can't wait to stick a key in that." The way he says it, it's just so, yeah, it's good. But it's even better because High Fives Ghost is right behind him, just with a humongous smile on his face, just staring off into nothingness. So it's like everybody up on this platform think that these are the creepiest guys ever. And Muscle Man thinks that one of the hippie dudes is looking at him weird. He's like, "Do I got something on my face?" And he starts getting mad. And Mordecai's like, "Save it for the competition, Muscle Man." And the Night Owl's like, "All right, we're starting in 3, 2, 1." And he starts going, "Woo, woo, woo." And he does that a few times. And it's just like nobody else is doing it. So they're about to set up a montage here. But before they do, Mordecai says, he calls a huddle. And it shows, like the classic, the shot from below the huddle up at their faces. And Mordecai says, "All right, we're not leaving here today without the car, so you know what we got to do." And then Rigby responds with saying, "Yeah, send everyone else home in their cruddy car." And he kind of says it like that. He doesn't, like, the cadence is off. It's not, he doesn't emphasize there. He doesn't say send everybody else home in their cruddy car, or their cruddy car, whatever. He just says send everybody else home in their cruddy car. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, that's cool. But anyway, we set up a montage here, and they do, and it's basically showing how the guys get rid of all the contestants. So one of the hippie dudes is trying to drink coffee, and they go over there and they just start like elbowing him. Mordecai initially, he kind of backs up to him and kind of nudges him with his elbow, but then they all start doing it, and he leaves. He goes down the ladder. Next one, the redheaded lady, she's on a lawn chair or something, reading a book that says "Learn to Win," and they start like shooting spitwads at her, and she leaves too. A few of them get really hot up there, and they're waving like the fans and everything, and then what the other guys do is they take fans and they are blowing the stench off of Muscle Man onto them, and I guess it grosses them all out, and they got to leave. The last guy is the dude with the 3 parts to his arms and the cut off flannel and the black pompadour, and he's got a tent too. So Rigby, he gets in the tent, and Rigby runs over and starts banging on his tent, and the guy comes out, and Rigby points at their tent, and it shows it's like the Austin Powers joke with the tent, the silhouette, but it shows the silhouette of Mordecai, and Muscle Man's like beating it up. It looks like he's beating up Mordecai, and then he takes like a spike, and it looks like he's stabbing Mordecai, and then High Fives Ghost flies upward like it's the ghost leaving Mordecai. It's actually really clever. And the pompadour dude, he gets scared and he takes off down the thing. So the next thing we see is a guy comes down and he tells the Night Owl, he's like, "Hey, our tech guy heard that those 4 dudes are going to share the car. It's over." And he says, Night Owl says, "What? It can't be over. My rating was just starting to get good." And he goes, "Bring in the isolation booth." And the next scene's pretty good. He's incepting the seeds of doubt in the 4 guys' minds. So they all go in this isolation booth, and he's like, "So tell me, how'd you get this car?" And they all, "Yeah, or how's it feel to be in this contest or whatever?" "Great, great, great." And then it's the 3 dudes, and then Muscle Man, he's got his shirt off with his leg propped up on the table, spinning his shirt, going, "Woo!" And great, great. "How'd you get this far?" And he goes, "Working together." And so what are you going to do with the car? And it keeps cutting back and forth to the different people. And they're like, "We're going to share it, share it, share it." And he goes, "Share it, huh? That's funny because it's not what Mordecai said." And then Muscle Man says, "What Mordecai say?" And he says, "He was going to keep it for himself." And then it cuts to High Fives Ghost. He says, "Rigby said that?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, Muscle Man said that." And it just keeps cutting back and forth to the different contestants, And it's just a really well done scene. And, basically he convinces them that, you're not really working together, even though they were. But so we assume that he leaves, the isolation booth goes down, and they're back in the tent. And the next shot we see is them all looking at each other, and they're discussing, they're kind of trying to act like, "I know, but I don't want to let you know that I know." So one of them says, "Well, we did it." And then I think Muscle Man says, "Yep, we did." And his eyes are like red. They're like pinkish looking. They're like a pinkish hue. And they're talking, they're like, "Nothing, I guess nothing left to do but to step off this ladder." And Mordecai's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And he says, "Oh, no, you go first. I have to put up the tent." And then Mordecai says, "Oh, no, no, no. We'll put up the tent. You just go on ahead." And he says, "I'm not going off this ladder until all three of you step off of it first." Mordecai says, "What's that supposed to mean?" And they kind of get into it. And then Mordecai says, "Hey, we know what you've been up to." Then he says, "Step one, working with you was a huge mistake. Step two, get off this billboard. You smell like barf." Which is like, yeah, that's what he's been up to. Step one, working with you is a huge mistake. Anyway, the dialogue's hilarious. And, Muscle Man, you smell like barf. And then Rigby hauls off and punches High Five Ghost. They haven't said a thing to each other. And, they just start going at it. So it's, I don't know, it escalates in a pretty hilarious fashion. So as they're fighting, we see a tube leading out of the tent down to the ground where Night Owl has a tank of liquid nitrogen. And he just decides now to ensure that this competition lasts forever. And he turns it on and he freezes them. And then we see a time lapse where the crowd is gone, but then they come back to watch for a few nights in a row. Then all of a sudden a stadium gets built around, like just out of nowhere, a stadium pops up around the billboard. And then cars of the future are just flying around. It goes from stadium, the stadium just leaves all of a sudden, and then you got flying cars going around it. Then you've got this steel structure around the flying cars, which kind of looks like a step back in time, to be honest with you. But then all of a sudden you've got the Museum of Night Owl, which is where the billboard's housed inside of. And I don't know, it might tell us how many years it's skipped ahead, but the liquid nitrogen starts to melt. Realistically, it would have melted long before now, being they're outside, in the sun. So it would have melted long before then. But whatever, let's go on with it because it's pretty good. So when it melts, the first thing that happens is Mordecai says, "Get off the billboard, you bar sack!" And he punches a Muscle Man in the face again, and Rigby follows suit, and they start fighting. And all of a sudden, Mordecai goes, "Wait, something's not right." And they unlock the tent, and he goes, "Oh my!" And he looks around there in a glass enclosure, the billboard is, and there's all these pictures. There's people flying around on floating segways, levitating segways, whatever, looking at these pictures of the contest. And then there's a statue, and it's a bronze statue, and it's the four guys. And there's a muscle car, and they've all trying to grab a hold of it like it's it's smaller than them, so it's symbolic. They're fighting over it, trying to hold it up and keep it for themselves. And so they start arguing again, and they go through a few lines of dialogue, but they figure out that the Night Owl tricked them. And so they're like, okay. About that time, a security guard comes up and he's like, "Hey, get out of that enclosure. It's off limits," or whatever. And he's got his security hat. It's black and it's white, but it has a yellow owl on the top of it. And the sleeve says owl across it in yellow letters. So it's, I don't know. I like, just kind of looking at the designs and stuff. So the security guard says, "Wait, you're the contestants." And he calls in on his little dial thing. He says, "We've got a problem. I need backup." And liquid, or it's not liquid nitrogen. It's actually, nitrogen fumes, I guess. I'm assuming it's some sort of, they're going to cryo freeze him again. But anyway, Mordecai says, "That's not good." And he says, "Muscle Man, can you hotwire that car?" And he says, "Yeah." And so that's the plan. And he goes, "Get down there and find me something to hotwire that car with." And he slides down the ladder. It's like this action scene type slide. And he's like, "Woo!" And then he gets down there and he tries to slide across the car. And he goes, "Woo!" And then when he does that, he slides off the end of the car and falls. And he gets up and he gets in there. And the security guard hits something on his little walkie-talkie looking thing, and it teleports him inside of the box. And he's like, "Get out of that car! Get out of that car!" And he starts hitting the window, And Muscle Man hotwires it right around the time that the security guard busts through the window. And he takes off and runs through the glass enclosure. And the guy calls in. He's like, "I'm going to need backup," or whatever. We've got a problem. And it goes to the Night Owl's office. And at this point in time, the Night Owl is uploaded his consciousness into this. It's like a it looks just like a boxy type robot, but it's got an owl's head. And it's got a television screen in the middle of it, kind of like the bots off of Fallout. And it's got the face, the Mr. Yes robots or whatever. Kind of like that. So this is the cool part of the episode. It's not really super surreal. It's more of a, I don't know if it'd be like Logan's Run or what, but it's like they're driving this muscle car through this museum, and everything's like white and marble looking, and they're just driving around leaving skid marks all over everything, and these people are chasing one of these floating segways, and they've got these robots following along on these like probes, and they kind of look like Hal off of 2001 Space Odyssey. They're they're these round spherical looking robots with red dots for like eyes or whatever. So going on just a little bit further, I think it might be a Logan's Run type reference, because J.G. Quintel is one of the guards. He makes an announcement, and he says, "Stop, runners!" And he says, "By order of the Night Owl, return to your display at once," something like that. Right as they're doing that, they pass by a house, and I think it's the Park House, but it's like on exhibit there, and they're putting two and two together, like the Night Owl, and like he must have built this museum around the contest. So they figure out they're in the future. They pass by a picture of Benson, and he says, "I always knew those guys were special," which is, we could talk about that. I mean, I could talk about that now. I mean, at this point in the show, it's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of ironic, but by the end of it, it's like that is pretty fitting of Benson's character. But at this point in the show, it's kind of like, yeah, that's a character joke for sure, which is something that's great about this show. Like it turns kind of the joking things into actual strong points of the show. But whatever. Muscle Man says, "We need a time machine," and they're like, "What?" And he says, "It's the future. There's got to be a time machine." And Mordecai's going, "I don't think that's how it." And one of the probes shoots like this cryo freeze beam, and it freezes off the rearview mirror or the side mirror. And right as he says, "I don't think that's how," he's going to say, "I don't think that's how it works." But the announcer comes on and says, "Attention museum goers or whatever, visitors. The time machine exhibit closes in 5 minutes." And Muscle Man starts beating on the side of the car going, "Woo!" And he goes, "Eat on that wrong, Akai." And Rigby says, "Muscle Man, get closer to that info booth," to where he can see what time where the time machine exhibit's at. So he gets closer to that, and Rigby's trying to lean out the window, and Five's ghost has his hand, and he's holding on to Rigby's as Rigby's leaning out the window. He grabs the thing, and he's like, "Where's it at?" And he opens up the pamphlet, and it says calculating information or something like that. And he says, "I don't know, it's still loading." And the guards are catching up to him, shooting and everything. And Muscle Man says, "Take the wheel." So he jumps up on the car and he plays this cool little sweeping synth type thing. Like they're in the future, but whatever. He gets up there and he takes off his shirt and he starts doing the helicopter. And one of them shoots a beam and freezes it. So he looks at it and just picks it up and throws it at one of them. And, it knocks one of them down and blows up one of the things. That just seems like a Skips move to me. Like, he's just like, what the heck? Throws it. So one of them gets up there. One of the guards gets up on the car, and Muscle Man hand-to-hand combat him. He sweep kicks him. I don't even know if it's a sweep kick, but he kicks him from below and knocks him over. And then Fives comes up and punches one of them, knocks him off, and it hits the sphere, like the HAL robot or whatever. And they get back in the car. One thing I forgot to mention about this car is it's got all white leather interior, which is kind of cool. It's a black muscle car. I guess it does look like a Challenger. I don't know. But it's got all white leather interior. And it's a pretty cool car. They're just driving this sucker around. Let's see what happens. So the information finishes loading, and it says the time travel exhibit is 0.7 miles away. They turn right, I think, and they go down this little tunnel, and the door's closing, and it just says time up above it, and like these flashing green lights. And they kind of barely make it beneath the closing door. And they're like, and this is a really cool scene. Like it's got the, like the choir of hope, and it's this all white room, and they're driving this car, and it's like this big looking room. It's just like kind of, it's really like 70s, 80s looking epicness. It's like there's big, vast open spaces, and, the characters are traveling through these things, but they don't have time to sit and look around. They can only take it in for so long. But right as they're going on up to the time machine, which is crazy because it's got a ramp going up to it, and it looked like there was a space between the ramp and the machine itself. So it kind of looks like it was meant for a car to drive into it. I don't know, though. But the night owl falls down in the robot form, and they're like, "It's the night owl," and he starts shooting beams at him. He's like, "You cannot leave," and they're circling around him, and he goes, "I froze you, thousands of years ago, and that's what you got to know your role. You're just ice cubes in my drink of success. Now get back in your glass." And he throws his arms out, and like feathery wings come out from his back, like he's about to do something, and nothing really happens. Like they rev the car up and they just run right through him. And his head comes spilling out of the machine and it just lays there. And this is cool. Like they're driving the car up the ramp, and it's like a drive through, welcome to Wendy's. How can I, it's kind of like that, but it's J.G. Quintel's voice, and he goes, "Select year of contest." And Muscle Man throws his shirt, and he hits the button that says day 1 of contest. And then the voice again says, "Contest year selected." So, some jazz like that. And it's it's really funny because it's obviously his voice, but he's like kind of just changed his pronunciation a little bit, and it's hilarious because I know he doesn't think that he's fooling anybody, that it's somebody else's voice, but it's funny that like he kind of puts that in there too. But anyway, the gate opens up and it's like pitch black. Like the machine itself is white. It's pearly white like everything else, but the gate's pitch black. And right when they hit that ramp and they go into it, it like disappears. Kind of like something you would see in a 70s movie like Space Odyssey. Like, when time gets changed, something or not gets changed, but like things just appear and then disappear from shot to shot. It's like they don't fade away. They're just there and then they're gone, which is kind of cool. I don't know if that was meant to be that way or not, but it's really cool. It just definitely reminds me of like that 80s, 70s sci-fi. So, anyway, they get back to day 1 of the contest where the challenger's there, and the night owl's standing there with a van, and it's got looks like 5 liquid nitrogen tanks in the back of it. So let's see what they do to him here. So the night owl he's kind of laying out his plan. He's like, awesome idea for a contest, check. Wicked muscle car, check. And he says, enough liquid nitrogen to make the contest last long enough to where I'm famous, check. And then the time gate opens up, and that muscle car comes down, and it hits the billboard. Billboard breaks, and it falls right on top of the other car, and they both break. And Night Owl's like, "Whoa, my car!" And he's like, "I maxed out my student loans for that car. You guys are going to pay for this." And as they're saying that, they're all walking up to him. Muscle Man just grabs him, punches him in the face, throws him down, and says, "That's for freezing us on purpose." They just walk off, and they're like, I'm glad that the time travel worked. Hey, and Muscle Man says, "Yeah, that contest blew logs." And I'm guessing, I haven't looked yet, but I'm betting in the UK that would have been censored to something else. And one of them says, "Hey, do you think we'll see ourselves from this timeline or something like that?" And Mordecai says, "No, that's not how it works. Besides," one of them says, "Besides, even if we did see copies of ourselves, we could just fight the other ones to the death to see who stays." And they all just kind of laugh. And the closing thing is they look over, and the copy of every one of them's over there in the bushes, and they all kind of got their mouths open like, "Oh my gosh, what did we just see?" And the other group's like laughing, walking off. They don't even know. And that, nothing really ever comes of that. It's kind of a throwaway, except it's kind of addressed, but like the copies I don't think are ever, those are kind of like throwaways, although I think Rigby at this point is a copy from that episode with the microwave out of time or whatever, where Mordecai's like, "I'll kill you," and he shoves him off the thing. But there's one episode where Mordecai's doing some time travel, and Rigby helps him out, and like it's something to do with the date about Margaret, or with Margaret. It might be one of the last episodes of season 2 or 3. So we see a copy of Mordecai in that, I believe, but nothing like ever really comes of the 4 that we see there. And I think that's just like a throwaway joke, but that's the episode. Let's look at the goofs and all that. Trivia. Muscle Man's quotes frickin' sweet, and "Let's do this, babies," and "Working together, baby" were reused in Ride 'em Rigby. When the gang drives past an exhibit of their house, Benson appears on a TV screen, it wasn't a picture, and says, "I always knew those guys were special," meaning that either Benson was interviewed by the Night Owl or his soul was put into that TV. I guess. Pop culture reference. The episode is a pun on the Futurama pilot episode, Space Pilot 3000. I guess it's the one where Fry gets frozen at the main beginning of the episode. I still think that this is Logan's Run or Space Odyssey or something Kubrick type going on there, because that just the end of that, it's just too I don't know, it's just too much in that style. It seems like it almost even seems like visually like something you might see, not even visually, maybe aesthetically, like the colors of everything, the white and all that, maybe something you would see in Clockwork Orange. I've never seen that movie, but just like seeing some of the still images, something maybe like that, like a Kubrick type future, I guess would be how I would describe it. Whatever, though. So goofs. The Night Owl tells Muscle Man that Mordecai is planning to keep the car for himself. However, in the future, Muscle Man says that Night Owl told him that Rigby was planning to do it. Plus, High Five Ghost was the one that Night Owl told Rigby was planning to keep the car for himself. However, in the future, Rigby says that the Night Owl told him that High Five Ghost was planning to do it. So I guess Night Owl's just saying all kinds of crap. He's going to work at a paint shop in the future. At least that's what he needs to do, because he's stirring that crap up. When the guys huddle up to discuss their plan, Muscle Man is sleeveless despite not being shown taking off his shirt. All right, alternate versions. UK, Muscle Man saying, "I can't wait to shove a key into that," was changed to, "I can't wait to peel donuts in that sweet piece." What? I can't wait to peel donuts. Oh, like, okay. Donuts, driving donuts. Okay, like, crap. I thought it meant him sitting in the car eating donuts. I'm like, you don't peel a donut. Whatever. Man, sorry, I'm not up on the lingo here. Australia. If a car was a girl, would you take her on a date and try to get to second base? Was cut. Okay. Muscle Man pretending to stab Mordecai to scare away one of the contestants was cut. That jerk was cut. Now we're talking about the Night Owl. The close-up of the liquid nitrogen can was zoomed in to only include the word liquid. Although the written word nitrogen was censored, the Night Owl's remark at the end regarding liquid nitrogen wasn't censored. I don't know why they would censor nitrogen. It's an element. Whatever. The officer breaking the car window was cut. Jerkface was removed from the line. Hey, get out of the way, Jerkface. That was when they were driving the car, and the Night Owl lands. Muscle Man says, "Hey, get out of the way, Jerkface. We got to use your time machine." So, this episode is, like I said, I couldn't remember it by the title, but it had some very memorable scenes in it. And it's probably not the best one we've seen, but it's definitely a memorable one. And it's got a lot of good points in it. I mean, it's one of them ones, I would say 7.5 to 8. It's got a lot of good things in it. It's not consistently like, the pacing's all right, but all the laughs kind of come in like chunks, It's like big group of laughs, then there's some downtime, big group of laughs, there's some downtime. It also has the environment stuff going for it, or not environment, but like, the atmospheric type, the ambiance, whatever, kind of like the episode with the graveyard had going. It has the fall ambiance. Well, this one has like the future feel at the end, which is kind of cool. I wish they would have built upon that. That was really cool. This one also has 4 of the crew. It doesn't have Pops at all, though. There's no Skips, and Benson's just barely there. So I mean, it can't be up there in the 9-10 range because you're missing some of the best parts of the show. But what it does do, it does very good. So very well, whatever. So I'm going to give it a 7.5 to 8. Take your pick. I don't care. I would encourage you to go watch this episode. It's pretty cool. It's right there with Over the Top, the arm wrestling episode. I'd say actually it's probably a little bit better. May not be as well remembered, but I think as an episode it's a little bit better. Next episode, A Bunch of Baby Ducks. That's a very iconic episode. The baby ducks, They appear probably 3 or 4 times in the whole show. They're kind of like the Moonanites on Aqua Teen. They don't appear that many times, but like they're such a big part of the lore of Aqua Teen, or in this case, regular show. And there's just, yeah, they come back 3 or 4 times, and every time they come back, it's a fairly big episode. And it's always got something to do with like Transformers or Power Rangers or Voltron or, yeah, something like that. So we're going to find out if it's the bunch of baby ducks send them to the moon that Rigby sent to the moon on the first episode of The Power. Actually, no, we don't find that out, but whatever. Good episode. So tune in for it as well. That's about all I got. Don't know who we had for a sponsor this week, or if we even still have sponsors, but if we do, patronize them with your support. Or don't, because probably if you do, just judging by the last few sponsors we've had, you'd be putting your life in peril. Regardless, thank you for listening. Any shares, likes, reviews, anything like that, that would go a long way in helping this show to grow. I think we got like one more listener since a couple episodes ago on average, so it's pretty cool. We're up to around the 20s. So yeah, good deal. Keep it growing. One day I'm just going to lie and be like, we got 5 million listeners. Not really. But yeah, 20 listeners. That's pretty cool. So, appreciate you. If you have any questions for the show or whatever, or you want to leave a voicemail or any of that jazz, on the Anchor page, there's a spot to leave a voice message. Yeah, the email, if you wish to email the show, you can get a hold of us at, texmexandcandy@gmail.com. It's texmexandcandy@gmail.com. I don't know what dingus set that one up, but whatever. So until next time, guys, appreciate you and have a good one.